Hello everybody and welcome to this latest episode of The Money Man. Now I did say in my previous video that it had been absolutely crazy recently due to the number of banknotes that are being previewed for imminent release. If you haven't seen that video, do find the link in the description. But what I've got today is one more banknote to add to that already lengthy list of good, juicy new banknotes that we can look forward to. And what I have to show you is a new commemorative banknote from the Central American nation of Guatemala. That's right. And do keep your eye on the national colors of Guatemala down in the bottom left, because the colors of the national flag heavily influence this new commemorative banknote, and they give you some idea as to what it may be about. So without further ado, let's have a look at the new 20 Quetzales commemorative banknote from the Bank of Guatemala. So, like I said before, you can see that crisp blue colour scheme influenced by the national flag that runs through this wonderful vertical banknote. And that colour scheme is beautifully complemented by the purple reflective security strip on the right hand side. And you'll also see that same purple reflective quality in the dates 1821 to 2021. Now what we've got here is a little bit complicated, so I'm going to try and guide you through the political minutiae of what this banknote represents. Now on first glance, you might think this represents the birth of Guatemala as a modern independent nation. Well actually no, it's a little bit more complicated that, which I will get into a little bit later. But what you can see is this vertical banknote is dominated by the vignette and portrait of Dr. Mariano Galvez. Now, he was a prominent Central American political figure who was heavily involved in the signing of the Act of Independence of the Central American peoples from their former colonial masters, the Spanish Empire. So that is what this banknote is celebrating, the 200th anniversary of the signing of that decree of independence for the Central American peoples. Now notice I'm saying Central American peoples, not Guatemala alone. And I'll explain that more a little bit later. But you can see that Dr. Mariano Galvez has been chosen as the prominent political figure to represent this momentous occasion, because what you actually have here is the seeds being planted of statehood for not just Guatemala, but other Central American nations. You'll see more of that later on. Now, just behind Dr. Galvez, you can see this wonderful building. Now, I would assume that this building sits in Guatemala City. It looks to be constructed in very much the Spanish colonial style, so I'm guessing that it's some kind of Congress hall or meeting hall or town hall or something like that. And I would assume it's the building where this declaration was signed. Again, and I'm thinking it's in Guatemala City. There is reason for that I will go into later. But like I said, we've got here that wonderful man, Mariano Galvez, represented right here. So he dominates this banknote. And I think his portrait, the vignette, looks really, really nice. It's very, very nice. But here you can see a very well-to-do, educated gentleman, obviously heavily involved in Central American political life. And you can see him holding a pamphlet right there. So I absolutely love the simplicity of this banknote. There's not too much going on, but it really gets to the point. Now, what is this actually celebrating? The 200th anniversary of what? Well, like I said, Guatemala did not become an independent country until 1847. Okay, so we've still got quite a few years from 1821 to get to Guatemalan statehood. But what happens is you have the formation of the Federal Republic of Central America, which you can see down here in this sort of grubby yellow color. Okay, so what you actually have is this whole region that becomes this new nation, which later fragments into smaller states, and that is when Guatemala is born. But here what we have is the emancipation of the Central American peoples from their former colonial masters, and that's the important thing that we're celebrating here. So it's not as simple as saying this is Guatemalan statehood right here. It's a bit more complicated than that. But do look into the Federal Republic of Central America, because it is a fascinating, fascinating thing. And like I said, it had quite a short life, but it was a very, very interesting sort of transition state until those other more modern states that we now recognize in Central America were born. So let's have a look at the reverse of this banknote. And this one really reminds me of that really iconic picture that celebrates American independence, where the Declaration of Independence is signed by the Continental Congress, where they cast off the shackles of the British Crown. And I feel that there is, I don't know, a similarity here that's purposely, you know, reinforced between American independence and sort of Guatemalan independence, or the independence of the Central American peoples. And I'll talk about this image a little bit more later. But you can see we've got this wonderful moment where the Act of Independence of Central America was signed between the delegation representing the Central American peoples and the delegation representing the Spanish Empire. And we've got this wonderful parrot just to the right, which I guess is maybe Guatemala's national bird. I don't know. I'm just guessing. So a really, really wonderful reverse, celebrating a very important moment in the history of the peoples of Central America. Like I said, it's simple, but it gets straight to the point, and I like that. It doesn't look cluttered at all. It's very, very clean and crisp. So that image on the back, you can see here. Now, I think in the middle, we've got Dr. Galvez. I think that's him, and I think he's holding out a quill. Possibly. The quality of the picture is not great. And I think we've got the Central American delegation on the left, because you can see they're all leaning forward. One of them is holding a piece of paper. Another one is sort of leaning towards the quill. And then you've got this man in the middle that's sort of holding something out, gesturing, basically saying, you sign this damn thing. You get it done. And then on the right side, you've got this delegation that looks kind of pensive, reluctant. You know, we've got this guy with a sword who looks like a general or maybe an admiral, and he's sort of leaning away. He looks skeptical. You've got a monk there, well, maybe a couple of monks, and you've got these other guys who seem to be looking down or looking away, and they seem like they're very reluctant to engage in whatever is happening here. And I'd be interested to know if the time on the clock is representative of the actual time that the act was signed. That would be interesting to know as well. So I think the Central American delegation is on the left and the Spanish Empire delegation is on the right. That would be my guess. But I love this. There's so much to read into this image. So let me know if I've got that right down in the comments section. If we've got some Guatemalans around that know this history, let me know if I've got it right, because that's what I read into this. But I think it's a fascinating image. So there we go. That's what I've got to show you today. I cannot wait to get hold of this and put it into my collection, because I've already got a few Guatemalan notes. Maybe I'll get some more soon. We'll just have to wait and see. But I think this will be a wonderful addition to any commemorative banknote collection. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. It's the Money Man signing out for now. Bye-bye.